Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The power of chemistry goes beyond simple arithmetics. You may think I'm giving lessons in science, but what if I told you these are lessons in Modi-Plomacy? That's right. Deals bhi, diplomacy bhi. As Prime Minister Modi powers brand Bharat in America, he leveraged his chemistry with President Trump and combined India's economic might to script the perfect equation. Modi plus Trump is equal to win-win. Let's start with the chemistry. The hug, the handshake and the dosti. Prime Minister Modi got a red carpet welcome at the White House from President Trump as he navigated the choppy waters of tariff, trade and counter-terrorism. Here's another equation by Prime Minister Modi. MAGA plus MEGA, make America great plus make India great. That is equal to mega prosperity, meaning make in America and make in India is equal to mega prosperity, and that was the message Prime Minister Modi gave President Trump. Let's tell you how chemistry and arithmetics were combined to the perfect diplomatic coup that was done by Modi. Remember, President Trump went on a tit-for-tat tariff trade ultimatum to the whole world. But Prime Minister Modi dodged the tariff bullet for the next 6 months. Buying time in such negotiations is a big indicator of success. With Mission 500, which aims to more than double bilateral trade to $500 billion by 2030, US has also welcomed India's steps to lower tariffs on US products and both vowed to increase marketing access. Another big win was the 10-year defense partnership forged between the two nations. Our braves will get some serious firepower. With fifth-generation fighter jets, undersea systems, Javelin anti-tank guided missiles and combat vehicles, the F-35s are being hailed across the world as a big deal between India and the United States. Over and above this, allaying fears of the H-1B visa holders, Trump agreed to continue visas for legal mobility of students and professionals. Essentially, the educated and legal professionals have nothing to worry about. And fourth, and very big and important and significant step in national security, President Trump promised the return of mastermind of the 26/11 attack, Tahavvur Rana, back to India to face justice in Indian courts. The joint statements named and shamed Pakistan and called upon it to stop cross-border terrorism. So let's get you a glimpse of how Prime Minister Modi gave a win-win mantra while President Trump laughed and admitted Modi is a tougher negotiator than me. There is no contest at all, he said. Listen in.
Oh, he's a much tougher negotiator than me, and he's a much better negotiator than me. There's not even a contest.
MAGA plus MEGA तब बन जाता है मेगा पार्टनरशिप फॉर प्रॉस्पेरिटी.
Anywhere in the world, they've been very strong on tariffs, and I don't blame them necessarily, but it's a different way of doing business. It's very hard to sell into India because they have trade barriers, very strong tariffs. We are right now a reciprocal nation.
आज हमने द्विपक्षीय व्यापार को 2030 तक 2 गुना से भी अधिक बढ़ाकर $500 billion तक पहुंचाने का लक्ष्य निर्धारित किया है.
Starting this year, we'll be increasing military sales to India by many billions of dollars. We're also paving the way to ultimately provide India with the F-35 stealth fighters. As you said, we're giving a very violent man, it seems to me. I mean, I don't know that he's been convicted yet or will be, but let's assume he's a pretty violent person. We're giving him back to India immediately.
But not Not everything can be solved with the right chemistry. After all, diplomacy is a tightrope walk. Prime Minister Modi talked tough when it came to illegal immigration, calling for the end of human trafficking. He was also asked if the Adani issue was discussed, to which he sternly said that individual matters are not discussed at this stage. Listen in to Modi's Lakshman Rekha.
जो सच्चे अर्थ में भारत का ही नागरिक होगा, वो अगर अमेरिका में गैर कानूनी तरीके से रहता है तो उसको वापस लेने के लिए भारत तैयार है। हमारी कोशिश है और हमारी कोशिश रहनी चाहिए कि इस प्रकार की पूरी इकोसिस्टम को हमें जड़ मूल से नष्ट करना चाहिए।
Thank you, Mr. President. Can I ask whether you discussed at all today the case of Gautam Adani, who's one of the wealthiest men in Asia and perceived as an ally of Prime Minister Modi? Prime Minister Modi, have you asked the President to take action on that case? Thank you.
भारत एक लोकतांत्रिक देश है और हमारे संस्कार, हमारी संस्कृति वसुधैव कुटुंबकम की है। हर भारतीय को मैं अपना मानता हूं। दूसरी बात है, ऐसे व्यक्तिगत मामलों के लिए दो देश के मुखिया न मिलते हैं, न बैठते हैं, न बात करते हैं।
But look at the irony. While the world watched in awe of how India navigated the choppy tariff and trade waters with America, back home the opposition is still harping on Adani. Today, they are being countered not just by the BJP but by the Congress MP and former diplomat and the ex-Under-Secretary General of the United Nations, Dr. Shashi Tharoor. Watch how today they get a reality check from their own.
Now in America, a reporter has asked Mr. Modi about Adani, and his face changed. His body language changed.
It looks like some of the big concerns we all had have been addressed.
वो घर परिवार छोड़ करके अगर जा रहे हैं तो वो इसलिए जा रहे हैं क्योंकि वहाँ अपॉर्चुनिटी बेहतर मिल रही है, उनका जीवन अच्छा होगा।
The only thing missing there from what Prime Minister Modi said was the question of the manner in which those people were treated and sent back. I think otherwise his stand was absolutely correct. These are misled youth who have been encouraged or induced to migrate illegally.
वो सिर्फ अपने इमेज के लिए काम करते हैं कि मैं विश्व का नेता हूँ। अब डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प के मिल्स कराएंगे और डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प वापस हमारे यहाँ टैरिफ लगाएगा।
On the question of trade and tariffs, they've decided to sit down together and do a serious negotiation that will conclude by the fall, which is the autumn, September, October of this year. I think that's a very good outcome.
Not surprising, of course, during India's first G20 presidency, the Congress said Modi is a brilliant event manager. They even called the G20 logo a BJP's election logo. When Modi went to the BRICS summit, they asked, why didn't Prime Minister show Lal Aankh to China? They also mocked him when he went to Davos, saying even his teleprompter can't take so much lies. You can see how every time when Prime Minister Modi has powered brand India on the global stage, they have denied and derided him. But why undermine Rashtra for Rajniti? Are they even in touch with the ground reality? Ladies and gentlemen, which is why we ask the Motorola legitimate question tonight. And the Motorola legitimate question tonight is, Modi plus Trump, is it equal to win plus win? That's the question and that's the debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining me tonight, Pradeep Bhandari, national spokesperson of the BJP, Suhail Seth, columnist, marketing guru, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, senior fellow at the IPCS. Also joining the debate, Advocate Anmol Pawar, of national spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, Vivek Silas, national spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. But my first question goes to Sanjay Jha, author, scientist and Congress leader. Sanjay Jha, the Prime Minister has very deftly maneuvered the tariff talks. Most countries today are reeling under what US President Trump is doing, reciprocal tariff arrangements without any notice. Here, Prime Minister Modi has managed to buy time, put it off for 6 months, and had a committee appointed with the members from both sides to negotiate this matter. Isn't that a win-win? Let me also ask you about H-1B visas and, many of those professionals who have looked forward to go and work in the United States today, who were wondering whether there would be any more H-1B visas coming their way, some who are stationed there, some who are looking forward to go there, and look at the kind of strides that have been made on that. The Havur Rana, 2008 mastermind. I want to ask you, despite all of this, is the Congress only going to pick holes? Do they never see anything that is in the favor of the nation other than taking political potshots at Prime Minister Modi?
Navika, good evening. I don't think when the opposition, including the Congress, questions the government on foreign policy, they're trying to score any brownie points, or they're trying to politically embarrass the government. They have a right. They have a right. They represent the collective will of the country. They represent large sections of India's population, and they have a right to ask these questions. Let's look at some of the points that you raised. Number one, as far as tariff is concerned, you're dealing here with a very irrational president who imposes a tariff, takes it back. But Donald Trump, even before Mr. Modi landed, was very clear. There is going to be reciprocal tariff. And if that happens, which, by the way, even this deferment is subject to any kind of change that can be introduced before that, the truth is, where Donald Trump is concerned, if he imposes the reciprocal tariff, he's not given India any waiver, it will have serious consequences for India's exports. We are having a very high weighted average on US imports, higher than probably 10%. As far as US is concerned, it's around 3%. So India will pay a pretty huge price. Point number two. And it's not as if Donald Trump is not aware, Navika, he is called India the king of tariffs. The reason being, India has the highest tariffs of any country on US exports. Point number two, that even when you look at the issue of Adani, for example, which I think is a legitimate issue because Adani has been indicted by the US government because it involves the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the SEC, who are all organs of the US government. They work fairly independently. Mr. Modi's response was that it's an individual matter. Is it an individual matter? The richest businessman from India, one of the men who has the largest infrastructure contracts in energy sector, largely given to him by the government, who's become in a great number of ways the biggest empire, who's acquiring assets left, right, and center, is an individual matter. I thought that was a very dodgy way to kind of handle a question that has to be addressed head on. And I think all these...
No, seriously, Sanjay Jha, do you expect the Prime Minister to answer this question on an international stage with the president of the richest country, the oldest democracy in the world, on an international forum? And yes, when it comes to business groups, Adani is one. There are 100 other business groups that operate in India. But the problem with the Congress party, they are like a stuck record. It's not as if Adani is not doing business with the Congress governments, but you're like a stuck record. All you want to do is ask questions on Adani and Suhail Seth. On this, I want to ask you, Sanjay Jha says the opposition can ask questions on policy. Are they interested in the policy? Certainly not. They're only interested in raising questions on Adani so that they can embarrass their own prime minister on global stages because they want to square, a brownie point or two because elections don't give them the desired results. Embarrassing the prime minister is probably the only objective or goal that they can set for themselves. So he'll say it. Rather sad at this point, don't you think?
Navika, you've been very harsh on my good friend Sanjay Jha. The Congress has had a track record of embarrassing prime ministers, whether they're their own or belong to an opposition. Have you forgotten how an ordinance was seemingly torn up just as Dr. Manmohan Singh was taking baby steps to the Oval Office? That happened. Number two, I have only one thing which I've repeatedly said on your program and on multiple other programs. Why would you want to embarrass your own country? The Prime Minister is the Prime Minister of the Republic of India. He's not the Prime Minister of the Bharatiya Janata Party, and neither is Gandhi, the leader of opposition of the Congress. He's the leader of India's opposition. He sits in the Lok Sabha. Every time to keep whining, to keep cursing, to keep finding petty fault, you know what people say? That this man is an unhappy, bitter human being who has no joy in his or her country doing well. A. B. Why would I raise the issue of any business person and deem it fit to answer that when, according to Sanjay Jha, and let me now turn Sanjay Jha's logic on his head. Sanjay Jha says it's an Indian businessman, there's an Indian issue. Then he says he's been indicted by the US government, or the US government has filed charges. Who should therefore answer it on US territory? The US government. But the US government doesn't deem fit. Why should the Prime Minister of India answer that? If by your logic you say it is now an issue that is being addressed in the United States of America, then your logic is flawed. 1 minute, Sanjay, I didn't interrupt you, and I expect the same level of decency and decorum. You will have a chance to respond. Constant interruption of this doesn't behove a person of your age and seniority and hopefully wisdom. So let me continue. My point here, Navika, is very simple. This constant abuse and finding fault with everything that is Indian, especially when the Prime Minister goes abroad, qua the Prime Minister, or qua the country when Rahul Gandhi goes abroad. Do you have nothing else to say? Are you not proud of the fact that the Prime Minister is only the fourth world leader to be invited to the Trump White House? You may have problems with Trump. The Congress, mark my words, in another 3 days, the Congress will abuse Trump. The Congress's hallmark is not to give credit. They are very much like Shakespeare's characters. They find fault with everything. The evil lives after them. The good they bury with such eloquence that you can't imagine. So my point is, be wise, be sagacious, and have some grace. I know these words are alien to today's Congress, but try and absorb them either through a dictionary or through Ren and Martin, and hopefully you'll be a better people. You'll be a better party. The reason why you lose elections is because people don't want people who have a problem for every solution. That's the leitmotif of the Congress today. Absolutely. You give them a solution, they will find a problem.
Absolutely, but let me get in Sanjay Jha back. Before you counter what Suhail Seth has said, Sanjay Jha, I just want to ask you this. Shashi Tharoor is also from the Congress party, a man who knows diplomacy probably better than the entire Congress party put together. Now, he says great strides have been made. But obviously the Congress, how can they appreciate, and that also Prime Minister Modi, the man who's inflicted so many losses on the Prime Minister? Certainly not. So they will even go against what, wisdom would actually tell them to do. And you're saying President Trump is so unpredictable. May I ask you, when the Congress was in power, were you choosing presidents and heads of states of other countries as well? Isn't it a given rule in diplomacy that you've got to deal with the people who exist? You don't sit and wish for the gods to come down and negotiate with you. Sanjay Jha, it's such a horrendous logic to try and begin to give labels to Donald Trump or the President of United States, knowing very well he's the man you've got to do business with.
Navika, a very valid question. But this is the same Modi government and Mr. Modi himself who campaigned for Donald Trump saying, "Ab ki baar Trump Sarkar," which had never been heard in the history of political relationships between countries, that a sitting prime minister campaigns for an incumbent president. Never heard of that.
That's why you're opposing him. That's why you're opposing him, because Modi said, "Ab ki baar Trump Sarkar."
Well, look at what Mr. Modi has really got. But first, let me put Mr. Suhail Seth's rather bizarre, attempt to defend Mr. Modi in place. Mr. Seth should know.
No, I will show you what interruption looks like. Let me tell you what interruption looks like. A, I did not defend Modi. I defended India. B, I outcast and decided and derided the Congress. There was no defense. My advice to you, Sanjay Jha, is my English is
Can I
far
finish?
better and superior to yours and will always remain so. Do not put words in my mouth. If your inferences are incorrect, it is because of your intelligence quotient or the lack of it this evening. Otherwise, you're a very bright guy. I mean, you've been an entrepreneur. You've covered cricket to investment banking. I'm surprised that you misquote me on the program in less than 30 seconds of my having made the comments. I do not defend anyone. I only defend your right.
Again, Sanjay Jha, don't come down to the lowest common denominator. Suhail Seth never said Modi is equal to India, but India was represented by Modi. India as a country did not go there. Prime Minister was representing India and the people of India.
Was said by the Congress,
Navika, I have a
Sanjay
problem with anybody in
Indra
this
is
country.
India was said by the Congress
Can you
party.
finish?
I've never said Modi is India. For me,
Can I
Sanjay Jha
speak?
is India. Sanjay Jha is India's opinion maker. You are the man.
So now can I speak? The issue is, Suhail Seth, that the bribery charges against Mr. Gautam Adani happened in India. So Mr. Modi's government, which has not even bothered to investigate it for months and is therefore probably guilty.
Now may I correct him? Navika, you must allow me. I'm very surprised because Sanjay Jha is very astute. The charges did not happen in India. The charges were made in America on actions that were deemed to have happened in India. Yeah, now Sanjay, you're a wise guy.
ये जबरदस्ती गोल क्यों घुमा रहे हैं? And Pradeep Bhandari, I need to get you in. I'm not able to understand Sanjay Jha's opposition. Is it to the Prime Minister's buying of time on the issue of tariffs? Is it on the issue that Tahavvur Rana is going to be extradited? Is it on the issue that H1B export of human capital will continue in a legal manner? What is his objection? Or is it his objection that Prime Minister Rahul Gandhi को लिए बिना US चले गए थे? Objection है क्या, Pradeep Bhandari?
You did not let me finish, Navika, because Suhail Seth kept
Well, Navika ji, thank you so much for having me. And Sanjay ji, you've been speaking for the last 20 minutes. Can I come in?
kept interrupting me.
Sanjay ji, you've been speaking for the last 20 minutes.
Sanjay Jha, I'll come back to you. Everybody, it's been between you and Suhail Seth for the last 12 minutes. Allow others to come in. You will get your chance. My friend, you always get your chance. I'll come back to you. Pradeep.
I'm just putting it on record that Suhail Seth did not let me speak.
Well, Sanjay ji,
will she hang me?
Sanjay ji, you have spoken more than what you have spoken in the Congress in front of Rahul Gandhi. Now, can I come in?
Yes, Pradeep, go on.
Arey, Sanjay Jha, you are interrupting me. I was listening to you from the last 20 minutes. Thank you. Navika ji, the problem with Sanjay Jha and the Congress party is that the US aid funding has been stopped by the Donald Trump administration and George Soros' agenda has flopped. So this is why they are completely rattled. They are rattled because, Sanjay, you have again started. I will not let you speak in the entire debate. This is unfair. You are speaking for 2.5 minutes. You are blabbering for the 2.5 minutes. Let me make my opening comments without interruption. No, I did not interrupt you. Behave properly. You are acting as if Rahul Gandhi has not given you the chance that you deserved in the Congress party and now you're taking out the frustration on the debate.
No, I have no frustration. I'm a chilled out guy. Don't worry.
I was listening to you patiently.
All right.
Please hear me out
I know Sanjay Jha is normally a chilled out guy. Somebody's got under his skin, but just chill. I'll come back to you, Sanjay Jha, in just a bit. Pradeep, make your point.
The last word today.
I have the following points. Congress party has issues because Prime Minister Narendra Modi has positioned India as a leader in the new world order. I want to begin with this pick of Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. No world leader has ever hugged or respected Rahul Gandhi as Indian Prime Minister has been respected globally. Sanjay Jha's party, Congress party, has an issue because Tavarur Rana, the 2611 accused, the terrorist is coming back to India. The Congress party, when it was in power, it was only playing dossier with Pakistan. This is why they have an issue. They have an issue because India and US have set a target of $500 billion in bilateral trade, which the Congress party is not able to digest. The Congress party has an issue because the F-35 stealth aircraft, fighter aircraft will be coming to India, which will make Indian national security further solid. They have an issue issue because Indian defense exports and Indian bilateral trade with United States of America in the last 4 years have grown 4 times to $73.7 billion, which was not achieved in the Congress party's era. So the Congress today has understood that Prime Minister has positioned India as a leading power, which Congress party in last 70 years could not do so. Mr. Nehru was a diplomatic failure, and Mr. Manmohan Singh and Sonia Gandhi could not achieve that. I will end by asking the following things which Donald Trump has said. If Donald Trump had such a big issue, why would he say, and I quote Donald Trump, PM Modi is doing a great job in India. I missed you a lot, Mr. Modi. You were a great leader and you are a great leader. You have been a friend for India for long. On the tariff part, I want to quote what Donald Trump said. When he was asked the question by the press on tariff, this is what he said. He said the following, and this is what he said. He said that this is nothing to do with India in particular. Our ties with India will be the best they have been till date. In fact, he further goes ahead to criticize the European Union on tariff. So Mr. Sanjay Jha has an issue that India will be least impacted with whatever steps America takes. संजय झा, आज खुश होने का समय है. शशि थरूर भी आज खुश है, आप भी खुश हो, क्योंकि भारत को फायदा होने वाला है. भारत एक लीडिंग पावर है, टॉप 5 अर्थव्यवस्था में पहुंचे. We will also reach the top 3. It is a time to celebrate, not a time to criticize, Mr. Jha. And if you suppose there's such a big issue with the industrialists, please call Revanth Reddy and cancel all the deeds in Telangana.
Well, Vivek Silas is getting extremely agitated here. क्या हो गया? The body language was good. Donald Trump is pulling chairs for the Prime Minister, hugging him, and look at the camaraderie. And he said Prime Minister Modi is a better negotiator than him. And in fact, he says there is no comparison. And I've listed out, and you know, jokes apart, I've listed out every single agreement on which India has made headway. Vivek Silas, is it just, a fashion these days because the opposition has no other contribution to make, given that they don't win elections? कि बस सारा टाइम क्रिटिसाइज करते रहो, just keep pulling down the Prime Minister every single time, if it also means somehow attacking the interests of India. Well, it's absolutely fair.
It's something that is very humongous, something that is very big. Actually, what I feel that the Honorable President Trump has made India into a dumping ground now. Nothing more than that. What he said, that we are compelled, the India will be buying, the petroleum, natural gas and defense products from, including F-35 from the US. At the moment, we are getting, the crude oil from Russia, which is on 30% discount. What is the tariff that Donald Trump is going to impose on India? That is a very big thing. If you see the reciprocal tariff which he talked about, oh, Bhandari ji, please, Bhandari ji, this is very serious. Don't come in between. This is very serious. Please let me speak. You will get your turn.
That's why I'm saying.
You will get your turn. What is the discount you are getting on the petroleum products? Can you tell me? Can you tell me? I'll tell you about the tariff as well. I'll tell you about the tariff as well. Please,
tell me how much is India-US bilateral trade?
Wait.
I challenge you.
What
tell me how much is
Keep
the
your challenge to yourself, Mr. Bhandari. I don't need your foolish challenges. Oh, let me speak.
Pradeep bhai, allow him to speak and then you can counter.
As far as trade with the US is concerned, we are earning $35 billion every year. But if the tariffs are controlled, what Donald Trump said, not only about India, as you said, that what tariff the other countries will be charging me, I will be charging the same tariff. For that, if you calculate, India will be losing 300,000 crores per year. Do you know that? And India and Thailand are the countries which are going to be majorly hit. फर्स्ट पहले आप अपना होमवर्क करके आया करिए, तब बात करिए.
आप अपना अगर होमवर्क की बात कर रहे हैं, अगर आप होमवर्क की बात करें तो मैं थोड़ा सा आपको बता दूं that from Russia India gets only 38 to 40% of its oil imports. Okay, 60% अभी भी कहीं से आ रहा है,
ईरान से आ रहा है मैम, and Middle East.
सुन तो लीजिए. So if they get competitive rates from the United States, what is and countries, Abhijit Iyer, Mitra,
1 second.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Don't countries do trade with the countries if the prices are competitive and they have other common goals? It's done all around the world. If your goals match, you also tend to do more trade with those countries. Is that such a crime in international, diplomacy? And is that something that India has not done all through over the last 7 decades?
look, we do business with wherever we get the best deals, and sometimes we do it to increase our own strategic reach. So with Russia, for example, one of the things is we don't really like Russian weapons too much. So when the opportunity arises to buy lots of Russian oil and gas, we buy that. Right. It's the same with America. We open up the markets to them. Now, if you look at the statement that's come out, it includes things like American chicken and American duck meat. Bhai, duck idhar kaun khata hai? In Assam and Bengal, maybe it's a winter delicacy, but other than that, nobody eats duck out here. So you will lift tariffs. Do you remember what happened, Navika, during Trump 1 and the Harley-Davidson tariff? We said, okay, let's keep talking. Now, unfortunately, lots of people keep abusing IAS Babus. This was one of the times the IAS Babu actually showed their worth. They said, let's talk. So for 3.5 years, they talked. And then the next election came and Trump lost and there was no duties out there. Now, when it comes to Adani and personalization, let us be very clear. That era ended long back. Even personal meetings with the Prime Minister don't happen anymore. You have to go in a trade delegation. They only meet, industry delegations, which then have meetings with the PM or the Finance Minister. Contrast this with Rajiv Gandhi and Adil Shahryar. Walter Anderson, the chap who killed thousands of Indians in the Bhopal gas tragedy, was let off on the personal intervention of Rajiv Gandhi. And what did he get in return? Ronald Reagan, the very day that Rajiv Gandhi lands up in Washington, forgives his childhood friend and classmate Adil Shahryar, who was serving a 35-year jail term for fraud. Do you remember what happened to Ottavio Quattrocchi, Navika?
This country hasn't forgotten.
When his bank accounts had been frozen by the CBI, in 2006, the law ministry sends a notice to them saying, please unfreeze, without consulting the CBI. You know who was in power in 2006? We all know. And it was immediately frozen. Then Argentina, based on Interpol warrant, arrested him. In 2007, the Argentine judge let him go. Why? Because the judge remarked in June 2007, India did not even present proper legal documents. So, one family that values the family over all national interest and everything finds it very useful because, they intervene personally for all their chatukars and chamchas and things like that. This government does not. The problem is, Sanjay is very used to that courtier culture, Maharaj ji, aapka bachcha paida hua hai, immediately take off the gehne ka haar and give it to the courtier. This courtier culture is all over. Right? But because it is so ingrained into Sanjay Jha, he projects it to everybody else. Now there's nothing I can do about that. Now if he wants to project, bhai, unka problem hai, mera problem thodi na hai.
Bilkul. Anmol Pawar, the question here is the negotiation in favor of India, yes or no? Is that the benchmark on which these talks are evaluated or should be evaluated? Or is the benchmark whether it has pleased Mr. Rahul Gandhi or not? Because every time there is an unconnected issue. We are talking in the United States about tariffs, we are talking about oil, we are talking about F-35s. What is the opposition talking about? Adani. Obsession ho gaya hai kya?
Good evening, Navika ji. Navika ji, we saw that how Mr. Trump announced reciprocal tariffs in India while standing next to Modi. And he also labeled India as a big abuser of trade, which was an embarrassing moment and an insult to our nation. And Mr. Bhandari was quoting Mr. Trump. He openly criticized BRICS, of which India is a member. And despite that, Mr. Modi was silent. And let me quote what he said. Mr. Trump said that BRICS was put there for a bad purpose. I told them if they want to play games with the dollar, then they are going to be hit by 100% tariff. And he said that BRICS is dead. And as far as Adani issue is concerned, it is after 3 long terms, after 11 years, that Mr. Modi faced direct media for the 3rd time. And when he was asked about the bribery charges by the US Department of Justice against Mr. Adani, he dismissed it as a personal matter. It is very shameful and condemnable that Mr. Modi dismissed Adani's looting of the nation's wealth and bribery charges as his personal matter. खैर जब 11 साल बाद बिना टेलीप्रॉम्प्टर के बिना देखे अगर मीडिया के सामने बोलना पड़े तो ऐसी दिक्कत हो जाती है. And
नहीं तो आप क्या चाह रहे थे? आप क्या चाह रहे थे? वो सारे इंडिविजुअल बिजनेस हाउसेस के जितने भी डील्स हैं, जितने भी प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं, उनको वहां इवैल्यूएट करना शुरू कर देते, उस पर लंबा एक्सप्लेनेशन देना शुरू कर देते. नंबर वन. Number two, my friend, these charges have been made in an American court. These are not charges that we have to fall for hook, line and sinker, because the Americans will never want India to become a power which rubs shoulders with them at the level that they are. So long as we are below them, they will entertain us and use us for this side, of the world. But certainly nobody wants any other country to become as powerful as them. But Pradeep Bhandari, BRICS pe, I mean, do they not understand even the initial part of diplomacy? China is a red flag to the United States. He's obviously referring to China, President Donald Trump. He wants to give a fillip to Quad rather than BRICS. And there also they have a problem.
In Navika, India is a founding member of BRICS. India is a
Navika ji, the issue is that you cannot expect the sheeshmel people to understand how external affair relations work. That is the point number one. Point number two, the context and the statement of Donald Trump was with respect to dollar being an international currency, and it was relation to China. When Mr. Pawar, it is understandable, like the Congress Party and Aam Aadmi Party, they are nothing but the batters for China. People still do not know the deal MOU between Rajiv Gandhi Foundation and the Chinese Communist Party. So they have issues because India and United States of America, I repeat, have set a $500 billion trade target. Now you tell me, if the tariff were imposed unilaterally, how could a $500 billion trade target be set? And I ask your panel, I ask Mr. Pawar, what is the export quantity that India does to United States of America? He will not know it, I will tell. It is $73 billion.
आप कैलकुलेटर निकालिए, अभी प्रदीप भंडारी बताएंगे. आप कैलकुलेट करिए. How much profits will India make? Well, gentlemen, diplomacy is always a tightrope walk. Nobody can stand here and say, oh, we won goal 1, goal 2, goal 3. No, it doesn't work like that. It's always work in progress. You save the day and you live on to negotiate another day. That's what diplomacy is all about. But when the opposition in India gets stuck on one issue which is not even part of a dialogue in the United States, clearly it shows how much of an obsession this is, how much of a political obsession this is to show the Prime Minister of India down. It doesn't really matter to them whether they are doing it in India or they are doing it at a global stage. For them, scoring a brownie point more important than what really is beneficial for the country. And if that is the case, clearly, sad that India has to see this in its democracy. For the country, can we not look at the positives? Can we stop taking pot shots? Because out of 365 days, maybe 3 or 4 days in the United States is not going to determine anything out of the political strategy. Wait. You'll get another opportunity. Make your political strike on the Prime Minister when the matters are more substantial, rather than clutching at straws when there is a delegation abroad. We leave it at that. Thank you very much to all my panelists for joining me on debate number 1.